sexual harassment at work will become a sackable offence as part of a major reform to combat the behaviour unveiled by the Prime Minister here in Canberra. These reforms include changes to the Fair Work Act, changing the definition of serious misconduct to include sexual harassment, making it a dismissible offence, the Human Rights Act, providing more time for victims to come forward before a complaint can be dismissed, and amending the Sexual Discrimination Act, removing exemptions for judges, MPs and state public servants. The government's also promising more education to prevent the behaviour. The changes come in response to the Sex Discrimination Commissioner Kate Jenkins' Respect at Work report handed down over a year ago, with the government accepting all 55 recommendations wholly, in part or at least in principle. I was joined a short time ago by the Minister for Women Marise Payne, and I began by asking her why the delay in responding to the report, and does she accept the criticism from some lobby groups and political opponents that Australia is lagging many other nations when it comes to preventing workplace harassment?
Well, first of all, Kieran, let me say that this report, which this government commissioned through the former Minister for Women, Kelly O'Dwyer, is certainly a landmark report in terms of addressing sexual harassment in the workplace. It's 55 recommendations, comprehensive, and go across not just Commonwealth government, but state and territory governments, business, employer and employee organisations, a range of other areas. So we have produced today, I think, a comprehensive government response, and I think the respect focus that the response brings and that the report also had is very important in this context. I understand that that there are those who would wish that these things happened immediately, but they don't actually happen that way. It is a process that it goes through government, as you would expect, across multiple agencies. The Attorney-General, the Prime Minister have made very important announcements today, and I'm very proud of the government response.
Given the nature of the problem at the heart of all of this, and given the different definitions of harassment, workplace harassment, sexual harassment and so on around the nation, how important is it that we get uniform definitions of what we're all talking about and then improve community and cultural awareness about those?
Well, it's vital to improve community and cultural awareness, and both the report and the response, I think, are very important contributions to that. The consistency of definitions, the consistency of approaches is a theme that runs through our response. Our response is focused on prevention, is focused on having a system that is simple to access for victims of harassment, simple to access for employers who want to address harassment in their own workplaces, that is evidence-based, and also that is in conformity with the legal system, the principles of justice as we know them. So they will be very important conversations to be had between the Commonwealth, the states and territories and the relevant agencies. It's why the Respect at Work Council has key organisations like Safe Work Australia, which is essentially a federated organisation as part of its makeup.
This obviously has a human dividend, but there is a massive economic dividend as well to get this right, isn't there?
Yes, we know that when women and men feel safe in their workplaces, that adds to productivity. It is a very important economic dividend, but it also has, as you say, that human dividend of feeling safer in your workplace. We understand the importance of that and have been very focused on that in the development of the response. I think to have a report of this comprehensive nature in which government accepts and notes all of the recommendations is a testament to how seriously this is being taken across the country and how seriously this government is addressing this report.
You held and convened a meeting with various other women's ministers, women's safety ministers earlier in the week, and discussing the next national blueprint to reduce violence against women. How important is it, Minister, that we have concrete targets that can be set and met?
Well, the work that we have been doing through the Women's Safety Ministers, and importantly the meeting that you referred to yesterday, which brings together Minister Anne Ruston, the Minister for Women's Safety, and I as co-chairs of that, with all of our state and territory colleagues, is about developing the next national plan at this point in time. The current plan expires in 2022. And the clear message out of our discussions is that we must be working towards zero. There is no acceptance, no tolerance for violence against women and their children, no acceptance for violence at all. And that message is a very clear and a very powerful one that I think we are all articulating right across the states and territories, no matter our political differences. And that should assist us strongly in backing in a very effective next national plan. There will be a national summit held in July of this year. That is something which we agreed to when we formed the Women's Safety Task Force under the National Federation Reform Council, and both Minister Ruston and I look forward to bringing that together with our colleagues.
And on that Women's Task Force that the Prime Minister set up within Cabinet, you said when that was announced that this will help women thrive in the budget process as well, that they will be considered central in terms of the budget deliberations. In that context, is it fair to assume that the elevated funding for frontline services dealing with domestic violence through COVID will remain at that funding level that they've had over the last 12 months or so? Because those groups have been telling me and others that they need that funding, that their demands upon them, sadly, has never been higher.
We recognise that that has been a very significant contribution. It was $150 million in 2020 in response to the challenges that COVID-19 presented across the country. $20 million of that to support Commonwealth Government focus on primary prevention, but $130 million distributed between the states and territories for their purposes. And that response has been, I think, well received. But I'm not going to speculate on the budget process, and Kieran, you wouldn't expect me to. But we do recognise the importance that played in 2020, and I know that Minister Ruston and I are very well informed by our conversation with the Women's Safety Ministers yesterday on all of these matters. They are front of mind for the government. Women's safety is our absolute priority, and the meeting of the Cabinet Task Force on Monday, which I co-chair with the Prime Minister, also reinforced that very matter, the priority of women's safety in the work that we are doing.